Manx Radio Podcasts, powered by Shaw.
Well, hello and welcome to this week's Countryside programme here on Manx Radio with Kiri Kermode and myself, Simon Clark. And an excellent week for the Isle of Man Creameries, Kiri.
It's been a wonderful week for them. First winning the Company of the Year, and then also finding out the news they have actually won 2 prizes in the World Cheese Competitions. It's just incredible. They're going from strength to strength. And
you caught up with Finlay MacLeod and Tim Sayers from the creamery, and of course, absolutely, you can hear when you listen the enthusiasm and the delight, and that they're coming away with these prizes and being recognised so much worldwide.
Oh yeah, it's certainly gone global, and they're hungry. They want to get out there and sell the products coming from such a small little place like the Isle of Man. It's really, really good.
Yeah, and of course the milk side of it, the cheese that they're doing, the creams that they're doing as well, and a great reputation that they're making for themselves.
They certainly are, and also having the new website, it's reaching out to more people, and you're finding the younger people will prefer to use the internet, and it's younger folk that are coming on board to buy these products too.
Oh, people can't even walk to a shop 20 yards now. They click a button and have it delivered, don't they? Well, I caught up with Johnny Corkish. You heard me talking to him on last week's programme, but what a character he is, and I had a long conversation with him down at the Morton Hall in Castletown about how he grew up, because he was involved in the Chrysanthemum Society show there, but I managed to speak to him about his days farming, because most of his was showing vegetables and things at the show, which he took so much pride in, but fitting that all in with a massive busy schedule on the farms when they were young. Just working all sorts of hours for a few quid here and there, but as he says, he would never have changed it, and sort of got his opinion about how things were, how difficult farming is today compared to what it is. So this is this week's Countryside.
Manx Radio's Countryside is brought to you by NFU Mutual.
Well, great news, Kiri, for the Isle of Man Creamery, coming away with the Company of the Year at the Isle of Man Newspaper Awards for Excellence the other night, wasn't it?
It was super. What an achievement. A lot of hard work goes in behind the scenes to, get it from the farm to the factory and then put it out in these wonderful products. And they seem to gel in really well as a company and really going forward.
Yeah, you went along to the creamery, I think.
I did. I called in the very next day to see how they were feeling, and sure enough, they're absolutely delighted. I caught up with Finlay MacLeod, the managing director, and also Tim Sayers to see what they had to say about it all.
Well, the highlight, obviously for us, was winning the Company of the Year, which we're absolutely delighted about. It's a great credit to our staff here at the creamery, but also to the dairy farmers on the Isle of Man. We like to think that it's one great big team, and I think certainly in the last few years it's worked very well together in that way.
You were up against it. There was some stiff competition.
I mean, even before you see the finalists, if you think about the type of companies on the Isle of Man and the innovative work that's done on the Isle of Man in other sectors, other non-food sectors, it's absolutely fantastic that a more traditional manufacturer and farming based business has actually won this award. And it's, as I said before, fantastic credit to the dairy farmers on the island and to our team here at the creamery.
But it's not just this award. You've been doing very, very well this year. It's a lot of hard work has gone into it, but more recent awards as well?
It's been a real week for it this week, because we've just found out that we won 2 awards at the World Cheese Awards. We've won a silver for our Red Leicester, which was in a category for what they call traditional territorials, and won a bronze award in the blended cheese award category, and that was for our mature cheddar with a hint of chilli. So to find that out this morning, after last night winning an award here, it really rounded off a fantastic year for us.
But also the local people, they can buy this produce now. You've launched a new website.
Yes, the website has really modernised our presence on the internet, and we're really delighted at the response that we've had on it. I think the most dramatic change is the fact that people can now start ordering milk deliveries online from us, so they don't have to necessarily phone up and place their order that way. They can actually get onto the website and start their deliveries automatically. Makes it really, really easy for people. Absolutely delighted that within 3 weeks we've had 92 customers do exactly just that.
Tim Sayers, you've been in charge of doing the website and keeping up to speed, but there's other products other than the cheese. There's butter and such like as well that can be ordered?
Yeah, absolutely. Our butter's also done really well this year. We've had several awards, 2 for whey butter being Best in Show at the Global Cheese Awards, as well as Best Packaged Butter. So that was a really nice one to get for our whey butter, which is quite unique really. We've also had a Great Taste Award for our dairy salted butter, which is our most widely available butter on the island. So it's good to get recognised in other categories other than just the cheesemakers here. You've
been out to stateside, to Atlanta?
Yeah, absolutely. Obviously the Isle of Man is our key area, our key market that we look after. But, we're producing a lot of milk through the dairy farmers, which is great. We've got growth this year in that area. So we need to find export markets as well. Mm-hmm. The US over the last few years has really developed strongly for us as a business. So we've got quite a lot of new business that's out there, and the consumers just love it. So I got to go out to work with our biggest customer, which is a supermarket called Publix, based in the south and east of the USA. I was basically representing our business at the Atlanta Cheese Fest on the Publix stand, talking to their customers and consumers. So it was a really interesting event to go to, and very high profile for us as a business.
But also, it's not just America, it's Spain as well. It's totally gone global.
Yeah, sure. I mean, we're always looking for the next new market, to be honest. We're doing well in Canada as well. So we have President's Choice Isle of Man Vintage, which is their premium line in Loblaws, the biggest supermarket in Canada. We've grown a bit more in the Middle East this year with a new listing in Qatar. And as you say, Spain also. We've just grown with another distributor in Spain as well. So it's all looking positive. And the great thing is that the overseas market, people seem to really embrace the cheese that's made on the Isle of Man.
Anything new for the future? Any plans?
Yes, we're very excited that we're going to be launching a spreadable butter in the new year. We've been working on a recipe specifically for the local market. So we're hoping to get that out into local stores probably about February time next year. As I said, we're developing the recipe. We've already developed the packaging design, and I think it will just really reflect a great quality product, and it will build on the reputation that we seem to be gaining on the butter already.
The farmers, they seem to be quite happy at the minute with the prices that they're fetching for the milk.
Well, hopefully they are, and I think it's probably got to be looked at in the context of prices overall in the British Isles. I think nobody could pick up a newspaper or watch the news over the course of the last year without realising what a real challenge the dairy industry has faced in the British Isles. And we've managed, touch wood, with the support of local consumers and by going out to various markets around the world, literally, and trying to seek out the niche markets that will pay a little bit more for their cheese and appreciate a really good quality product with a provenance and with a great story behind it, then we've managed to trade at a level that has allowed us to give the farmers a much better price here than most farmers are experiencing in the UK and in Ireland as well. Yeah. So we're very pleased with that, because that really is our focus as a business. I think if you asked any member of staff at the creamery, what the main purpose of the business is, they know that it's to give a decent price to Isle of Man dairy farmers.
That was Finlay MacLeod, Managing Director of Isle of Man Creameries, and also Tim Sayers, the Sales Manager.
Spreadable butter. Hey?
Hey, you would have thought it.
He kept that under his sleeve till the end, didn't he?
He certainly did, but they're really striving forward to get all the products up to date, modern and out there, and the new website as well certainly helping the sales. A real good team effort.
Yeah, but as you heard there, that the reception that the Manx cheese is getting around the world, not just UK and around the Isles around here, is it?
It's phenomenal. It has really gone global, and they're driving forward, and a good sales team behind them as well is certainly pushing it out there, and it's getting great recognition.
What's your favourite cheese?
Oh, I'm very, very boring. Just the mild.
Mild cheddar?
Cheddar.
Oh, all right, we'll leave it at that.
Manx Radio's Countryside is brought to you by NFU Mutual.
Well, last week I spoke to Johnny Corkish at the Isle of Man Chrysanthemum Awards down at the Morton Hall in Castletown. Well, I had a very long conversation with him afterwards and talked about his days growing up on the Manx farms as a young lad and comparing it to the modern day farming.
From day one.
Right.
Yes, I was born in Ballacquinny, 1934. I'm sure as soon as I could walk and follow the old man round, I was, of course, at that time, we worked for Kelly's and the Ballacqueen Hotel. This little farm supplied the veg and one thing and another, and the milk. Of course, there was a big lump of market garden, and he was in there working, and I was with him.
Was it a difficult farm, Ballacquinny?
Oh, no. It was a lovely little farm. It was only about 60 acres. And funnily enough, later on, that's William Kelly that has got to do with it now. It was his grandfather, my father, worked for. And in the 60s, I worked for William's father. So it kind of turned a circle. In the meantime, when I left school, I worked in Ballacquilla, which is now nearly all under houses for Comishes in Ballacquilla. I spent my childhood there, and I used to be sent here to Castletown to the mill many a time with a horse and cart with half a dozen sacks of oats to get crushed. And maybe 10, 11-year-old, just imagine well, you wouldn't take a horse and cart on the road today, but there was no traffic, and head down there, she used to know where she was going, especially when you turned for home. Then, of course, when I left school, I went in full time. I always remember I was getting 30 bob a week during the summer holidays and all, and then when I left school, I went in full time. My wages dropped down to £1.
Never.
Well, I had to pay a stamp then, you see. Right. And of course, you got your breakfast, dinner and tea, which I got while I was only a nipper, but once I left school and was on the official payroll, that was the wages. It was £1, and that was for a 56-hour week.
So it doesn't seem much, does it? But I mean, what was your favourite bit of the farm and work?
Oh.
Or what didn't you like?
I wasn't a great man with the cows. I tolerated them, but I wasn't a cowman by any means. Once I graduated, I was able to drive the tractor, which I was doing that from 12-year-old too, harrowing and one thing and another with old Fordson.
What was the conversion like from the horse to the tractor? Obviously, you remember that too, did you?
Well, yes. Well, you see, as long as I can remember, there was a tractor in Ballacquilla. I think the first one was a 1938 Fordson. Of course, at that time I was only young and came along with the tractor, so there was always a bit of change there all along. But it was a pleasure to see a good man with a pair of horses ploughing. I done a little bit with the horses, but I never done any ploughing. I done a bit of harrowing and raking hay and things of the sort. But leading the horse as a young fellow in the tumbling rake, and that's a job. Well, I've been trying to coax Peter up at Craignish to get a tumbling rake rigged up. He's always been a bit afraid of it. They look dangerous, but there was nothing wrong with the tumbling rake once you learned to use it. In the latter end, I was able to use the tumbling rake myself. I never seen anybody actually using the rake and driving the horse and all. If you're doing that, you had to have reins, and the reins were very apt to get caught up in a tumbling rake. So it was always a nipper leading the horse. But of course, the days of raking hay and rooking and one thing and another, they're well and truly gone now. Even the days of small square bales is gone now, let alone rooking it loose.
I was just thinking of you taking the sacks of corn down to the mill. You think now of the 20 kilo or 40 or 50 pound weight that the people aren't allowed to carry.
Oh, well.
What was in the barley and corn sacks?
Well, there'd be 100 weight and a half at that time. Well, I've got a place there on the side of my leg where I fell. Fertilisers used to come in 16 stone bags, 200 weight. And I was 15, helping to unload Colton Cowley's lorry, hobnail boots, cobble floor in the stable, and I slipped on the cobbles. Down I went, and I must have caught a high cobble on that bone just below my knee, and got up. I remember I was pinned to the ground with the bag on my back, and John Castaigne, the lorry driver, came in, and I could hear him saying to this day, "What are you doing down there, boy?" And he just stooped down and he picked 200 weight off me, just as though it was a bag of chaff. And anyhow, I got up and there was no such thing as run industrial injuries or anything like that. You got up and carried on again. But this last 20 years or so since the rheumatism is in it and it bothers me a bit. But
Did you stick with farming till you retired?
oh, no, not quite. I worked in Balaclava. First 2 years I left school, and then Henry Castaigne in Morehouse Farm flashed pound notes in front of my eyes. So of course I went to work there. We lived on salt herring all the winter. That was me 52 and 53, and I've never touched a salt herring since, and I never will. I'd be desperate hungry to eat a salt herring. So Robbie Coole's father, Ballacraggan, was advertising for a man, and I went there and I'd done 13 years with them. And my father at that time had been gravedigger in Russian Church, so he had retired, and the chap that took over from him, he didn't last awful long, and he was packing up, and they approached me, and I was going to take it because farm wages by that time was £7 a week. This would be in the early 60s, £7 a week, and I was married in a cottage at that time, and I had the cottage along with that £7 and a pint of milk a day and spuds and one thing and another, whatever we grew on the place. But anyhow, the boss heard that I'd taken the job as gravedigger, and on the Friday he sent the son Robert out with my wages and insurance card. So I said, well, and I hadn't given the notice in because we had the mill sitting in the hacket, and with those 3 or 4 days thrashing to do, and I wasn't going to walk out on them and all the thrashing what I'm doing. So anyhow, I said, what's this for? Oh, he said, we heard you're starting at the church on Monday. Yes, I said, I've been offered the job, but I said, I haven't taken it. But I said, I'll take my card if that's the case. I said, after 13 years. So I went home and I threw the wage packet on the table. I said to the wife, well, that's the last you'll get from Ballacraggan. So she goes off down the road to the grocery shop to get a few odds and ends and meets one of the lads working in the gasworks. And she told him. The next thing I knew, I had the manager of the gasworks at the door. He said, I believe you're out of work. Well, I said, I am, temporarily. But, well, he said, can you start with us on Monday? Kind of took me back a bit. Well, I said, what's the pay? Well, he said, Stoke, he said, there's £15 a week on day shift and £17 a week on night shift. Oh, I said, I'll be in on Monday morning.
It's a bit of a jump from 7.
It certainly was a jump, but I'll tell you this, I done 3 months there. Must have been coming on the springtime anyhow, and the tractors and things was working on the field of a night, and I was all right up till 5 o'clock till the other men were home, and after that the shifts work 2 to 10, 10 to 6, 6 to 2. Well, from 5 o'clock to 10 o'clock of a night in the springtime, and there wasn't an awful lot of work to do because it was early spring. In the main part of the summer there was extra fires on. You had 8 fires to do in an 8-hour shift. Well, there was about 500 weight of coal went into each retort, like, and it was an art, that too. So a man that had been there 40 years taught me to stoke.
Right.
I know there was an art in it, but I learned to stoke.
There'd be a Stewart inquiry if she went out, wouldn't there?
Oh, I don't think it would go out. It was the fact that if you piled too much coal in at the back and nothing in the middle and a big heap at the front, it had to go in even about 2.5 inches deep all the way. And your tort would be 6-7 foot long, maybe 8 feet long actually. And to make gas, it had to be stoked right. And anyhow, but I lasted there about 4 months. The late Walter Kelly, he was a director of the gas company, and the chap that was doing his tractor work, he had to go into hospital for an operation for gallstones. And poor Arthur, he was a bit like myself. He didn't like hospital, so he had the operation. He wanted to go home. He signed himself out the next day. He went home and took pneumonia. It was springtime, and But Mr. Kelly said to me, he said, there was still a turnip ground wanted ploughing and the corn wanted sowing. So he asked me, see would I come in between shifts, like, which I did. Well, poor Arthur never got over it, he died. So consequently I packed the gasworks up and went back to the farm. But I went back down to £12 a week. But I was happier, much happier. Plus the fact that when I started in the gasworks, I had a 36-inch waist. And when I came out at 30, trousers wouldn't stay on me. They're dropping down over my hips.
Kept you fit then.
Oh, I lost lots of sweat.
But had farming changed in that time you were on the gas?
Well, I wasn't on the gas that long. No. It was only about 6 months. So it didn't change, hadn't changed really in that time. But it was certainly changing because up until the time I left Ballacraggan, we were still cutting with the binder. And I was doing the stacking. And I always laid my stack bottoms out 10 yards by 4. And for the time I got liaison, I'd be 6 yards wide. And I'd have about 20 loads of corn into a stack. And we always reckon on about 25, depending on the length of the straw. But you'd have 18 to 20 loads would make a stack. And they always fellas was coming and saying to me, I don't know how the hell your stacks are dry, because I went out. But once I got the A's and I went in about a foot every time. Some fellas would just come in inches and finish up sky high, like. But my stacks were never tall. I brought them in quick and they were thatched, and I never had a wet stack. Ernie Kelly, Ballymunick used to come to do the thrashing in those days. And Ernie used to say to me, it's a pleasure to set a mill alongside of your stacks, he said. He said, there's no wet sheaves, he said, and there's a good 4 or 5 hours thrashing in every one.
Good days them though.
Oh, aye.
Yeah.
But
did you go back to the farm? Did that sort of learn you about growing the vegetables yourself and things?
Well, of course, you see, every farm at that time grew a few spuds, and of course turnips was the main winter feed. Down in Ballacraggan we were growing 20 acres of turnips every year. They all had to be thinned and all docked. Even as a young fella in Ballacraggan, turnips all went through the cutter there, and I used to take a cartload of turnips a feed. That was 14 cartloads of turnips a week going in and going through the cutter. They all fed the cattle then, but in Ballacraggan we never cut them. The cows got them whole, like, and of course the sheep they were always just put out on the field loose, as they are today. Them that grow a few turnips, they're getting to be a thing of the past.
They are. But when you look at it now, I mean, everything's done by the tractor seat now, isn't it?
Certainly it is. All the young fellas don't know what work is today. I think the heaviest job today is any fella clipping sheep. I'm afraid they can't mechanise that much more. But even saying that again, when we were clipping, especially with old hand shears, one fella turning the handle, that was a job that I detested as a young fella. The fella on the clipper would be saying more speed. And of course, by the time you'd got a dozen sheep clipped, your arm was getting a bit tired. You'd be changing from your right hand to your left hand.
You wouldn't dare stop.
You wouldn't dare stop, oh no.
But all in all, mighty memories though from them days.
Oh yes. Oh, I don't.
Low times and high times, I suppose.
I don't regret one day of my life on the farms. As a young fella, turning hay was all turned with a pitchfork. Maybe 5 or 6 of us.
Were you right hand at the bottom, man?
No, left hand.
All right.
Left hand down. No. Funny enough, I was looking at a photograph of them thrashing in Ballacraggan, either the late 30s or the early 40s. And there was 2 men on the stack, and they were both right hand down on pitchforks. And it's not a thing. The majority of fellows are left hand down. And I've always heard it said that in the quarries, a fellow that was right hand down was worth a penny a day more than the left hand when they were striking.
I am a right hand down myself.
Aye.
And the same on the coal boats, they reckon.
Aye.
You could get the side
Each
clean
side
that
of the
others
tub.
couldn't.
Yeah, yes. I always heard it said that in the quarry he was worth a penny a day more. And I suppose a penny in those days it wasn't a lot, but saying that, I remember the old man sending me before I ever started school up to the shop at the corner to get him a packet of woodbines. I'd get a shilling and he would say, you can spend a penny of the change, get a lick of his pipe
Kept you going for the day, though.
Oh, aye.
Well, fascinating talking to you,
Yes.
John, and sharing these memories with you today.
Right, all right, thank you.
Well, Johnny Corkish from the south of the Isle of Man there, and well edited as well, because he certainly is one of them Manx characters that's left, Kerry, and a lot of tales there about, you know, how things were and how he was moving from one place to another, and the difference that, you know, people were getting paid in different jobs, you know, even back then was just a massive gap.
It certainly is, and it's such great memories, and you know, to have it recorded and put down, and for future generations to believe how hard things were as a child growing up on a farm back then, and how different it is now, and how lucky we are, and you know, the World Wide Web has brought everything to our fingertips, and it's certainly different for him when he was a young fella.
Yeah, do you still get the sales reps coming around the farms though?
Not quite as much. It's slackened off just recently, but you get an odd few.
But I suppose in them days they relied on that, didn't they? And you had to have a couple of fellas around the farm before you got the right price. But now you clicks of buttons and it's all doesn't take a day to get someone. It's sad in a way, isn't it? When you think of all the merchants that used to be around the Isle. I certainly when I was a kid, you know, the yolks used to go and the spuds would go to another, and the fertiliser from another. So it was a sort of, I think it's sort of gentleman's agreement. But now I think it's a bit more cutthroat, I suppose, to survive, doesn't it?
And before we go, just a reminder, the Prime Stock Show is Monday the 28th at Knockalo Farm, Patrick, at 7:30. All welcome to come along and have a look at the livestock.
Manx Radio's Countryside is brought to you by NFU Mutual.
There we are. Cheese, milk, cream to top it off. And also Johnny Corkish as well, telling us about his days on the farm and years gone by, and his reminiscence of showing vegetables for many, many years at the shows around the Isle of Man, and long may it continue, he says.
Oh, certainly. It's so different from modern day farming now compared to back then, isn't it?
Yes, and a big well done and pat on the back once again to the staff at the Isle of Man Creameries. But that's it for Countryside. Kerry and myself will be back the same time next week. So until then, from me, Simon Clark.
And me, Kiri Kermode.
See you then. Ta-da.
Bye-bye.
Don't sit in the slow lane. Join the fast lane right now with Shaw's all-new Superfast Plus broadband. Enjoy more bandwidth, amazing speeds and the best value on the island from just £23.95 per month. So don't be left behind. Get a piece of the high-speed action with Superfast Plus broadband from Shaw. For details, visit our stores in Douglas, Ramsey and Port Erin or click shaw.com. Love being Shaw. Terms and conditions apply.